Hello YouTube and welcome back to another Dare to Game video. Today we're playing Mount & Blade Bannerlord, specifically the Realm of Thrones mod, and we're going to be looking at the 10 best heavy cavalry units you can get in the game. So we'll be rating these like I do in all of my troop videos. We'll take into consideration their armor, weapons, stats, all that sort of stuff. And I'll tell you where to get them and all that too. So let's just dive on in and start off with number 10. So starting us off at number 10, we have a VALYRIAN unit, and so these ones will obviously be recruited from areas of the map, really the homeland controlled by Daenerys at the beginning, so way to the far east in Essos, the Valyrian stronghold area. So in any case, you can see we've got a very interesting unit here as far as heavy cavalry is concerned. Obviously solid armor, offers excellent protection all around, so nothing to complain about there. Good horse with, again, solid armor, so good stuff there. Our loadout is a ridged arming sword, a noble cavalry lance, the glaive, and the wide heater shield. So this is an interesting loadout because we do have a sword and shield. So again, this is going to be a unit that can compete pretty competitively up close and on foot. But we also have a couchable lance in the noble cavalry lance, so they can do a powerful charge, but also the glaive. So if they're not doing the powerful charge like that, they can switch to the glaive and do a lot of swing attacks. And since that's a really good weapon, it just offers a lot of versatility in my opinion. So I definitely enjoy the versatility of the loadout for this unit. As far as our stats are concerned on here, we have a one-handed of 210, polearms of 220, riding of 220, and athletics of 220. So very solid all around. Like I said, really versatile on horseback, decent on foot because we have a high enough athletics and obviously a high enough one-handed and a sword and shield and heavy armor to make a pretty solid infantry unit. And the fact that they have the two different polearms means that even if they're on foot, they can still defend pretty well against horses, as well as obviously other infantry and archers because of their sword and shield. Very, very versatile unit, excellent stats all around. That's why it takes the number 10 spot. Let's move on to number 9. And at number 9, we have another VALYRIAN unit, so you recruit them in the same type of places. This one we have the Captain of the KINGSGUARD, and so again, you're going to see just very, very good armor. This stuff is all a little bit better than the other side. Same type of horse with the same type of armor. Loadout's going to be basically, it's not exactly the same, but it's real similar in form. So we have the ridged arming sword, noble cavalry lance, glaive, and the Targaryen shield. Same type of weapons, just slightly different weapon. All very good though. It has all the same strengths and weaknesses as the Valyrian Dragonlord Protector. Can obviously do a lot, makes an excellent cavalry unit, but also quite good on foot. Here for stats, we have one-handed of 210, polearm of 220, riding of 220, and athletics of 220, so very solid all around. Excellent shock cavalry, heavy cavalry type thing. Up close and in person, can couch the lance or use the swinging aspect of the glaive, but also can be very good on foot as a heavy infantry unit. So that is number 9. Let's move on to number 8. At number 8, we have a Pentoshi troop, and this is from the Pentoshi Noble troop line, so these ones will be recruitable from villages bound to castles in the Pentoshi area, starting with the Noble Youth and working all the way up to the Magister Guard Elite, which is the unit we're looking at here. This one is a heavy cavalry with the possibility to use as a skirmisher unit because they've got some throwing capabilities. Solid armor all around, good horse with real heavy armor on it. The loadout is the decorated Eastern Shield, straight saber, Mamluk lance, and the hooked javelin. So you can see we've got a lance, a sword and shield, and some throwing weapons, which is always one of my favorite combinations for heavy cavalry. Stat-wise here, we've got a one-handed of 210, polearm of 220, riding of 220, athletics of 220, and throwing of 210, so very high stats all across the board. Very good at everything they do because of that. So we've got a polearm, so whether they're on foot or on horseback, they're great against cavalry. We've got throwing weapons, so they've got a little bit of that medium-ranged attack ability, but they've also got nice heavy armor, high athletic skill, and a sword and shield, so they can work really good on foot or up close on horseback as well. So the Magister Guard Elite is an excellent cavalry troop, and they take the number 8 spot. Alright, at number 7, we've got one of the most unique troops in the game, one that I quite enjoy, the Reach Flower Knight. So this one is going to be the end of the noble troop tree for the Reach area. So if you go to the Reach in Westeros and you go to any villages bound to castles, you can recruit the noble troop trees there and start with the noble son and work your way up to the Reach Flower Knight. This is a very unique troop, and that's why I like it so much. For one thing, we've got excellent, very heavy armor that offers great protection and looks pretty cool. A really solid horse with some of the best horse armor in the game. And our loadout is very interesting for weapons. So we have the Billhook, which is a swingable polearm, a simple short bow and stacked bodkin arrows, and the knightly arming sword. So this is a heavy cavalry unit. They're focused on melee combat, have a swinging polearm and a sword, no shield, but we also have a bow and arrow, which is, it's just a very interesting unit because it's not a mounted archer, but it does quite well in that role. So if you want a perfect unit that can be used as either, the only downside is we don't have a couchable lance for this one, so there's no heavy charge. But I would say this one might be the best, if not a runner-up to the best for a F1, F3 cavalry because of how versatile they are. With the swinging billhook, the sword, and a bow and arrow, they can kind of do it all. So real easy troop to use. As for stats on this one, one-handed of 200, polearm of 230, bow of 230, riding of 230, and athletics of 210. So when it comes to versatility, you can't beat this one. It's excellent on foot as an archer or an infantry unit. Good against cavalry because we have a polearm. Excellent against infantry. Really great on horseback. Can defend castles really well. Can assault them really well. The Reach Flower Knight is definitely a unique unit, and I think has well earned the number 7 spot. So that is number 7. Let's move on to number 6. So at number 6, we're once again in Westeros, and this time we're in the Vale of Arryn, and we're looking at the Knight of the Vale. So this is again going to be the top of their noble troop tree. So any castles in the Vale will have bound villages to them, and those villages will have the noble troop tree recruitable in them, and you upgrade all the way to the top to get to the Knight of the Vale. This one is a great one. Real heavy armor, offers excellent protection, which is exactly what you want in your heavy cavalry. Our loadout is pretty good. We have the ridged arming sword, the reinforced cavalry small shield, and the heavy knight lance. Only problem with this loadout is we're not fully utilizing it, so we have an empty slot that could have been made up by maybe a second polearm for swinging ability like a lot of the other heavy cavalry in this game, or throwing weapons is my preference, so some javelin. Even as it is, they work excellent as a heavy shot cavalry. Again, you can see we have a good horse with great armor. Our stats for this one are one-handed of 210, polearm of 230, riding of 240, and athletics of 220. So again, we've got one that is excellent. It's got all the best stats for heavy cavalry on horseback, but we've also got high enough stats, heavy enough armor, and the right equipment to work really, really well on foot as well. So the Knight of the Vale is an excellent heavy cavalry shock unit, but also very, very good heavy infantry. So that's the Knight of the Vale, which takes the number 6 spot. Let's move on to number 5. At number 5, we've got a real fun, interesting troop, and this one is a northern unit, so from the north of Westeros, and we have the Northern Mounted Warlord. This one is again from the noble troop tree, so any castles in the north will have villages bound to them, and that's where you can recruit these. And you start with the noble youth and recruit them all the way up to the Northern Mounted Warlord. So for this one, equipment-wise is excellent. Again, we've got 2 sets, but it's really just a slightly different color. All the other stuff is the same. And really heavy armor offers excellent protection, so nothing to worry about there. No real weak points in this armor. Our loadout for this one is the Knightly Arming Sword, the Highland War Spear, the Highland Throwing Axe, and the Wide Heater Shield. So we've got a good shield that offers great protection, has lots of hit points, a good sword to use for melee combat. We've got a great spear to use on mounted, as a lancer, which obviously we want. And we've got some throwing axes, so we have a little bit of versatility in the way that we can use this one. So they've got that medium range throwing ability there. Our stats for this one are one-handed of 230, polearm of 220, riding of 220, athletics of 220, and throwing of 210. So again, really high stats all the way across the board. This one can work really excellently as a skirmisher unit to a limited extent. Obviously, you don't have that many throwing weapons, but you have a few. We also have a lance, which is great, does high damage, and therefore you can use them in big heavy lance charges. We've got a sword and shield, so they also work very good up close on horseback. But because we've got high athletics, heavy armor, and a sword and a shield, it's also a great infantry unit. And obviously with the spear, it's great for anti-cavalry as well. So the Northern Mounted Warlord can be used in any application. I find them to be really, really good when assaulting castles, and also quite good at defending them. And obviously, as is the case with all heavy cavalry troops, their strength is in the open field. So the Northern Mounted Warlord takes the number 5 spot. Let's move on to number 4. At number 4, we have the Stormlands Thunder Knight. So another one from Westeros. This one obviously is from the Stormlands, so down below the Crownlands, Storm's End type area, the Baratheon seat of power. And this one again is part of the noble troop tree, so you start with the Stormlands Noble Son and work up to the Stormlands Thunder Knight. Again, these are from villages bound to castle. As for the unit itself, it doesn't look all that impressive, but actually the armor provides pretty solid protection all the way around. You can see body armor of 38 for our main piece there, another body armor of 3 coming from the shoulder, so not actually as light as it looks, offers pretty good protection. Horse is a solid horse, and again, we've got better armor than quite a few of the earlier horses on this list, so excellent there. The loadout is really the only slightly weak point. I like the way it is, but it could be better, obviously. So we have a broad two-hander, so we focus on two-handed weapons, and the heavy knight lance. So we've got a great weapon, a great polearm for thrusting in heavy knight charges, and also a two-handed sword, which is great on horseback and on foot. So I don't dislike those weapons, I just dislike the fact that we could have 2 more weapons, maybe 2 containers of throwing axes or javelins or something like that, or a one-handed sword and a shield or something, you know. Whenever you're missing out on those weapon slots, you lose quite a bit of potential in the versatility of the troops. And stat-wise, we got one-handed of 210, but that doesn't matter because we don't have a one-handed weapon. Polearm of 220, two-handed of 230, riding of 230, and athletics of 220. Like I said, the number 4 spot, the Stormlands Thunder Knight. Let's move on to number 3. At number 3, we have the Queen's Man, and this one is the Dragonstone troop tree, so the servants of Stannis the Manus. So we start with the Dragonstone Noble son at any villages bound to castles in the Dragonstone region, and work our way up to the Queen's Man. This one, again, pretty solid armor, so nice, good protection there. Versatile loadout, we have the Ridged Arming Sword, the Dragonstone Elite Halberd, so a swinging polearm. Well, it can also be used for thrust, but swinging is what makes it special. The Reinforced Kite Shield, and the Heavy Druznic Lance, so one of the best lances in the game. Stat-wise, 220 for one-handed, 230 for polearm, riding of 230, athletics of 220. So all great across the board, nice heavy armor, high athletics, high riding, great weapons, so it's going to be really good on horseback, obviously, because it's ranked very high in a ranking of heavy cavalry, but it's also going to be really good on foot. It's going to be good against cavalry, against other infantry, against archers, everything, siege, assault, and defense. Very versatile troop, nothing to complain about with the Queen's Man. At number 2, we have the Captain of the King's Guard, which is going to be part of the noble troop tree for the Crown Lands. Now, this one I don't personally like as a unit because you could build up a whole bunch of them, and that's obviously anachronistic to the story, because the King's Guard, there's only 7 King's Guard, and there's only 1 Captain of the King's Guard. That being said, you can create an entire army of Captain of the King's Guard in this mod, so if you want to do that, you definitely can. So again, these are going to be recruitable from any castle, villages bound to castles in the Crown Land. You start with the Crown Land's Noble Son and work your way up to the Captain of the King's Guard. Armor is excellent. It's really high quality armor that offers great protection just across the board. Another really good horse with pretty solid armor on it. You can see our loadout is the Knightly Arming Sword, the Bracketed Heater Shield, the Broadleaf Shaped Spear, and the Wide-Fullered Broad Two-Hander. So on this one, we have the ability to be sword and shield infantry or cavalry, so up close and personal. We also have a two-handed greatsword, which is great against, you know, breaking through shield walls and all sorts of really aggressive assault, but we also have a really good lance, so it's a solid lancer unit. Stat-wise on this one, one-handed of 230, polearm of 220, two-handed of 210, riding of 230, and athletics of 220. Again, we're going to have a super versatile troop here. Can be used as shock infantry, can be used as frontline infantry, can be used as heavy cavalry, obviously, because that's what we're mainly focusing on with this one, and has a lot of damage potential. But because we've got a high athletics and really heavy armor, also very good on foot, so we can use them in any situation and they're going to flourish. So on the open field as heavy cavalry, or offense or defense in a castle as infantry is going to work really great. So the Captain of the King's Guard takes the number 2 spot. Finally, at number 1, we have the Westerlands Banner Knight, so another Westerosi troop here from the Westerlands. This is the Lannister territory, and it is part of the noble troop tree, so you start with the Westerland Squire and upgrade to the Westerlands Banner Knight. A loadout here, again, is really solid, excellent, super heavy armor, good horse with great armor on it. The Knight Lance, Reinforced Cavalry Kite Shield, and Ridged Arming Sword for our loadout. Again, only weakness is we have an empty spot that could have been filled up by a two-handed weapon, a different lance, or some throwing weapons. But stat-wise, we've got one-handed of 220, polearm of 250, riding of 230, and athletics of 210. So obviously an extremely good heavy cavalry unit, the best in the game, but also still very, very good on foot because of the high athletics, great armor, and excellent weapons. So nothing real to complain about there other than, like I said, the lack of the 4th slot being filled. So that is all 10 of the best heavy cavalry in Realm of Thrones for Mount & Blade Bannerlord. Hope you enjoyed this video, hope you found it useful, but that's all for today, and we'll see you next time. Thanks for watching another Dare to Game video. If you liked this video, please leave a like and a comment. If you haven't already, be sure to subscribe to the channel. If you like my content and would like to support this channel, consider becoming a member today for as little as $1.99 a month. It makes a huge difference. But in any case, thanks for watching and have a nice day. I'll see you next time.